started, if you're okay with that. Do we need directions for interpretation?
I think we're all right. Just I'll say one more time, one last time for now, and I can follow up in the chat. So if you need help with interpretation in Spanish, you're going to look for the icon of the globe and then select that and then Spanish and listen to Yvonne Kroll. Si quiere escuchar esto en español, busque el icono del globo, del mundo, y después seleccione español para escuchar a la señora Kroll.
Okay, so if we're ready to get started, first of all, thank you for being here. We do have a few people that we want to introduce. First of all, Mr. Doyne, thank you for sending out the messages and having all of our families meet us today for this lunchtime chat. Feel free to eat. I know this is lunchtime. Feel free to handle whatever you need to handle while we meet. We try to meet by Zoom because we know that's easier for most of our families to do. Thumbs up if you like the Zoom meetings, if you like us to do this by Zoom, or you prefer face-to-face. I know Zoom is easy for a lot of families, and myself included. So hopefully this makes it easier to meet with us. This is not a formal meeting. We do have a lot of information to share with you, but whenever you feel like you have to go, you're welcome to leave. If you're needing to do things and turn your camera off and then turn it back on, that's okay as well. You'll hear from me, you'll hear from Mr. Doyne, and then we also have Ms. Kroll. If you can wave. Ms. Kroll is one of our awesome staff members. She's interpreting for us today. There are some polls on the screen. If you can answer those questions, we're just wondering how many of you are taking your lunch break at work while you talk to us, and how many of you are at home today. And then we have another question about how you heard about our meeting that we'll ask next. Okay. All right. So welcome. This is a session that we have here. A lot of you are really confused about how do I get information at the middle school level? Who do I talk to? And so we wanted to create this opportunity to talk to you every single month. So we do meet one time a month. We usually have general information about our school. We usually will share one tip that you can use to help raise your students or your children. And then we open it up for any questions that you have. But then we do also remind families that we do sometimes have students on the call. So if you have anything that's just specific to your child, we do ask you to reach out to let us know that individually so that we can talk to you in private about your student. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. We will have a quick warm welcome. We always do something fun when we meet every month. We will go over a few school events that we have coming up or that we've just recently had. We will give you an academic tip, which is a reminder about the parent portal, and then talk about communication pathways to get a concern heard. And then we'll give you some tips on bullying. So if you just stay with us, this should be a pretty good meeting and hopefully not too long. We try to spend about 1 hour when we meet each time a month. Okay, so this is a quick game that we're going to play. It's called Would You Rather? And I don't know if you've ever played this before. It's really easy. And all you need to know is just what you like or don't like to play this game. All right, so the first question is, would you rather own a boat or a plane? And the way that you answer it is you just type it in the chat, which one you would prefer. So would you rather own a boat or a plane? And I'm going to pull up the chat because I'm curious to see what people are saying. A boat, both. Someone's saying both. Me too, Matt. I would like both. All right, if we had to pick one, someone says a plane first and then a boat. And I would be a boat and then a plane. Okay, so what about this one? Would you rather sweat melted cheese or always smell like a skunk? Would you rather sweat melted cheese or always smell like a skunk? Cheese might be useful, especially for your food. Okay, how about this one? Would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? Would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? I'm the parent of a preteen. I want to be invisible so I can see what he's doing when I'm not around. Flying is fun too. All right, would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or play every instrument that exists? Which one would you rather? Languages, me too. Instruments, I used to play the clarinet. I was very bad at it. Then they put me on the flute and I was worse at that. So I was in chorus when I was in school. Okay, here's our last one. Would you rather go to the beach in the summer or go skiing in the winter? I don't know how many of you, I've never gone skiing before, but would you rather go to the beach in the summer or go skiing in the winter? Beach. You guys are like me, we're all beach people. All right, so we'll come back to this game. We're gonna go ahead and get started because I see some of you are at work and you have limited time. And thank you for answering the poll questions. I see they're coming in. It looks like most of us are home, but a good number of us are at work. So thank you for taking a break from work, and some are elsewhere. I see some are outside doing other things. All right, so thank you for joining us. Some highlights that we had Freddie the Falcon. I don't know if you're Falcon fans. Freddie the Falcon came to our school and celebrated one of our teachers, and then just celebrated our school as a whole. And so we were so excited to have him here. He left a few gifts for that teacher to give to her class, but you may see it on GCPS News. You can check it out. Miss Tuff, so if any of your students have Miss Tuff, that was the classroom that he visited. And I think in the background, there's Doyle doing a pirouette, like a ballerina move. He was getting out of the way of the camera, so they caught him doing that. We also want to let you know that we have many clubs and activities started. Our students are never too old to get involved in school. We do encourage them every single day to pick at least one club or activity. I know a lot of our students say that they may have transportation issues. If that's a concern, let us know. As we think about resources for our school, we want to know that information. But we do encourage, if they're able to join one club, one activity. There are some really easy ones that they can do, even if they don't feel like they know where they fit in. Like student council, they help out around our building. I know that we also have environmental club. There are many different ways that they can get involved, but just encourage them, pick one, and ask them, have you picked one? We announce clubs every single day in the morning and afternoon, so they can hear about it. Did any of put it in the chat if you attended our Vietnamese family coffee that we had? That was a really nice event. We had, I didn't count, but I know it was over 12 families who showed up, probably 12 to 15 families who showed up, and we just had a lovely time. So thank you to anyone who attended that. That was really good, and we do plan to have more special coffees coming up soon this year. We also had a student speaker come to talk to our students. His name was Fabian Ramirez, and he talked about bullying and being respectful. And he is of Hispanic origin, so he just talked about his upbringing, and a lot of our students really connected with that. And then the wellness screener, some of your students may have gone home and told you that they took a survey that was asking questions about how well they are and how safe they are. Well, that was the wellness screener. We do have another one coming up soon on October 2nd, and that is the health screener. And there's a way for you to opt out if you choose for your child not to participate in that. But the health screener asks us other questions that are a little bit deeper than the wellness screener, but it does give us information, not about your individual child, but just about our students in general and some of the healthy choices that they may have. Okay, free and reduced lunch rates. Right now, we have 188 families who have not completed the form. Remember that we really do rely on that. to help our school. But also, you are eligible for different programs out in the community if you complete the application and if you're found eligible. So we do encourage every family to do that. There are some who were on a grace period last year, or meaning that you were free and reduced last year, but you just haven't done the form this year. And just remember, you have to complete it every single year for you to get credit to be free or reduced. And then we do have probably about 50 families who haven't applied at all. And that's okay. You don't have to, but we encourage you to take advantage of it if you feel like you should. September 14th was the day that students were fully charged. This is a concern because we do have a long list of students who are now being charged, and maybe the parents don't know. So the cafeteria manager is letting me know that this child is owing money, and they'll start letting you know soon. But just be mindful that it could be because you haven't done the application, and it takes maybe like 5 minutes. But we are asking all families to do that just to make sure that you're not eligible to be receiving free or reduced lunch. And it does help with funding for our school. So they look at the number of students that we have at free or reduced, and then that plays into the budgeting that they give us, or the funding that they give us. All right, progress reports went home last Thursday. And I want you to raise your hand or wave if you did see your child's progress reports. We did tell them, go home and tell your parents. And leading up to it, we were reminding them, get everything turned in. We don't want to have any zeros. We want it to look really good for your parents. Some of them remembered and some didn't remember. So we always check with the parents to make sure that you did see it. But they're going to be going home on a regular basis. And if you have trouble with maybe there's lots of zeros or the grades are really outdated, then reach out and let your child's homeroom teacher know that. Because we do have a commitment to update our grades so that you can have real information to look at. Okay, any grade that's lower than 70 is considered not passing. So if they're like, oh, don't worry about it, mom, or don't worry about it, dad, it's okay. If it's below 70, it's not okay. They're not passing. But we say that 80 is safe, because if they're at 70 and they have one failing grade, that takes them below passing. So we say if you're at an 80, 75, 80, you have a little bit of room to work with, but 70 is the bare minimum of passing. Okay, and then we're asking you to check the portal 1 time a week, something we do in my home that my son will tell you he does not love, but we do it in my home, is that when he comes home on Fridays, I say, okay, let's see what kind of weekend we're gonna have. Open up well, he has his view. I don't do it from the portal. I'll let him do it because I want him to feel like it's his job to let me know how he's doing in school. And so he pulls that up and I look at it and I'm like, oh, we did great. We're going to have a great weekend. Or not so great. That means we're going to be doing some makeup work over this weekend. But if you do it week by week, then you won't have a big crunch at the end of the semester to play catch up. And some of our kids get into really big holes that they can't get out of because it's just too much work. So if you just have them show it to you every week, then that's more less stressful for you and less stressful for them. Do we have any questions? I didn't see any. I didn't see any. Yes.
Dr. Ari, pardon me. There were a couple of people asking about Spanish. So we do have people, as you probably know, just logging in ongoing. So I'll just explain that again. So if you want to listen to this presentation in Spanish, you can look for the globe icon on your screen, select interpretation, and Spanish from there. Si quiere escuchar esto en español, hay que buscar el icono del mundo y después selecciona español. There are, Maria Lucero has had her hand up for a while, and then Matt Genius also has his hand up.
Okay.
So mind if I ask them to unmute?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so let's see. Señora Lucero, tiene su mano levantada. No sé si tiene alguna pregunta. Ms. Lucero, do you have a question? Maybe that's just by accident. So, Ms. Lucero, if you have a question, si tiene alguna pregunta, podría preguntar. All right. All right, and then there.
I didn't see any new,
Oh, sorry, Dr. Ash, the Torres is asking if she can review grades still this week.
yes. The progress reports are not the final report card. You know, thankfully, it's given you a lot of time to just work with students on a regular basis. We send them home probably around one time a month. I don't have the schedule here with me, but it's roughly about one time a month that we send them home. And that's because we don't want students to get too far behind, but it's definitely not too late at all. And I'm going to show you next some things that you can do if it doesn't look good or, you know, meet your standards. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is that we tell you 70 is passing, 80 is safe, but you can have your own standards in your family. So if you're like 90 is safe for me, then that is totally fine. We're just giving you the bare minimum. All right.
There are a couple other points, Dr. Arsh. One is from Miss Aaliyah asking, do teachers send out emails if a child is failing their class? And then Miss Khalaf says she has questions.
Okay, so yes, and generally speaking, yes. However, if it's an assignment that was difficult for many of the students, then they may not necessarily email about that. They may just be working with the entire class to make it up. Or if there's a plan, you know, the older your student gets, the more communication directly with the teacher they're going to have. So sometimes your student is working with that teacher to do that. So generally they will email out, but we encourage parents to always email the teacher if you have concerns about how your child is doing. Most teachers have about 125 students in their care. And so they may be thinking, okay, 71, 72, you're fine, but you may not be okay with that. So you can email them at any time if you have a concern. All right, and it was like Aaliyah.
That was Miss Aaliyah, and then Miss Khalaf said she has questions, and then Miss Khadija has a question after that. So Miss Khalaf, let me see if I can find you and unmute you and have you unmuted. Let's see, I think I should be able to do this. Okay. Well, while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and ask Miss Khadija, go ahead with your question. Let's see if I can find you here.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, Miss Khadija, I'll go ahead and unmute you, and then Miss Khalaf, you'll also be able to unmute here in a moment.
Yeah, hi. My daughter missing like some assignment, and the report is showing like absent. You know, so it's failed, or is she doing again like this assignment submit?
Okay, so teachers are expected to offer every opportunity because in Gwinnett County, we grade for mastery. So that means that if they're not passing, they should be extending more opportunities for the student to show that they're passing. But we also need students to come in at other times to have that happen. So on the screen, there's a list of tutoring times. And what we ask is that you reach out to your child's teacher for whatever class that is, Miss Khadija, and have them schedule time to come in before school to get some of that work made up. But yes, they can still turn in missing assignments. The only time that they may not be able to turn it in is if the test for that unit has already happened. So if the test has already happened, then they may not go back to like redo all the assignments leading up to it. But if you do it or even month by month, then they should be okay to get caught up.
Okay.
And then if you have, I would suggest you reach out to your child's homeroom teacher. You said they're missing several assignments. Reach out and then you can help come up with a plan because some of our students wait until it's too late to start asking. So you can go ahead and ask the teacher now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Ash. And then Ms. Khalaf is also unmuted for your question.
Yes, Skylar, all the month of August, he was in the Gear Up classes.
Mm-hmm.
Only the September, he was in this class. He fell in two subjects. I don't know. He don't have any. What about the August classes? Was in the Gear Up.
Okay.
When I tell him why you didn't pass these classes. I said, I was not in the class. I was the gear up classes.
Okay.
What can happen this?
Okay, sometimes, so Gear Up is a very specific program. I don't know his exact situation, but sometimes students will, be asked to be removed or switch to a different team. And if that happens, they do need time to get everything back in order. But what I want to do is to get, your child's student ID number from you, not here in this, but, if you could, what's the best way, Mr. Doyne, to get that information from Ms. Hello?
As far as who the teachers are, I'm sorry.
Who your child is, because if
I do know who her child is. Yes, ma'am.
not lining up, and they may need time to get that organized. But it's always good for us to go ahead and check since she has a concern.
Yes, because the whole month of August, he was not in the class. You
Okay.
don't want to go to the gear up classes because you don't want to, one class, one semester, one grade, you're not a grade up. You don't want it. You want to stay the same 9th grade.
Okay, so he doesn't.
That all August, I don't know what happened all August, what is his number, and only the September, only he didn't pass 2 classes.
Okay, well, we're still early enough in the year where we can easily solve, work with him to solve that problem. So, and Mr. Doyne knows who he is. So we're gonna reach out to the teachers and come up with a plan.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. And we'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right, so on the screen, there's some extra help information. This is really important because if you know how much it costs for tutoring outside of school, it's very, very expensive, but they're offering it for free. The only thing we ask you to do is to reach out to your child's teacher of the course that they're going for tutoring for, and just send a quick message. My child, put their name, will be here for tutoring on that day. Teachers are scheduled to be here, so they don't need to really make a special appointment. But they do need to know how many students are coming. So as I mentioned before, they have over 125 students. So if they all showed up for math, that wouldn't work. So they do need to know who wants to come for what class. And that way, if they're full, they can maybe, work on a plan. But those are the days. So on Tuesdays, that's when they can go to Connections Tutoring. You reach out to your child's connection teacher and set that up. Wednesday can be either math or social studies. And then Thursday is ELA or science. If your student is in a unique situation, that teacher can work with you to have a different plan, but these are just our school-wide tutoring days. Okay? All right, Mustang Mastery Intervention, that is a free Saturday program. We don't charge you for that, but that is for those students who have, they're below mastery, meaning that they're not meeting grade level expectations in math or reading. And so we would identify them basically based on test scores. It could be milestones data, or they take a screening called iReady, or it could be grades that we find the students who will be in this program on Saturdays, and then we would invite you to participate. We do ask that if your child is invited, that you have them attend all of the Saturdays of the program. That's when we notice that it actually helps. But if they just come one Saturday, maybe that can help them get some work done, but it won't really help the skill that they need to get caught up on. The other thing we have, and this is for a rotation of students, is iSuccess, and that's a Thursday after school session. So Ms. Khadija, you were saying your daughter's missing a lot of assignments. That may be a time that she can come as iSuccess on Thursdays to help make some of that stuff, some of the assignments up if she's not able to do it on her own. Another thing we have during the day is working lunch. We try not to do this because middle school students are quiet and orderly most of the day. And so lunch is a time that they have a chance to talk to friends or just relax a little bit. And so we try not to take that from them. However, that can happen if your student is missing a lot of work. Sometimes you may see working lunches assigned as a consequence if something happens that is considered like misbehavior. Okay, so those are some of the interventions that we'll have, and Mr. Doyne can, I'm sure he sent this out, but he can send it out again in the newsletter. Another time of day, and this is where we ask parents to help us by making sure students are here on time, right at the start of school, is that we have an extended learning time period. Are you seeing that pop up on my screen? Sorry, y'all. Okay, so we have an emergency system in place at school where we're alerted for things that need to be handled, but we have other administrators, but all administrators get the pop-up. So just everything's okay, just it's gonna keep popping up. All right, so ELT, I apologize for that. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll just keep closing out of it. All right, so ELT. So this is between 9:20 and 10:10 every day. And this is where we're focused this year on math and reading. So on Monday and Wednesday, all students are getting math intervention. And then on Tuesday and Thursday, all students are getting reading intervention. The only exception is if your student is in a special needs program, then they are working towards their IEP goals. But all other students in our building will be doing math and reading on those 2 days. Last year, we didn't have it that way. We kind of had where each class focused on whatever they wanted, but we noticed that our students really need a lot of support in math and reading. So we're doing school-wide for those 2 things. Every student in our building also participates in an SEL moment. They're really fun, they're really short, but they're helping us to build community and respect in our school. So between 9:25 and 9:35, we talk about bullying, we talk about conflict resolution, we talk about work ethic, even things like how to wake up on time, how to set an alarm, how to be organized. Like those are the things we talk about for the first 10 minutes of the day, and then we go into the academic support. On Fridays, we do recognition, so we'll be recognizing classes and students for good behavior, and then we'll also be working on reading. So students may read a book of their choice on Friday.
That's a good program.
We're excited about it. We're really excited about it because we started with drop everything and read on Fridays, probably right after COVID, like maybe 2021. And we noticed that even the cool kids were going to get books to read and walk in like, what are you reading? I'm reading a graphic novel. So they really got into the reading. So we're keeping with the reading as part of our culture. We do have mentoring programs that meet on Friday. So if your student is a part of a mentoring program, you may notice that during that time they're in their mentoring group, but all other students are going to be reading during that time. Okay. APT, you'll hear about that from Mr. Doyne. And then we also have an ESOL family engagement activity on this Saturday at 11 a.m. And those families who are part of the ESOL program, you would have received an invitation to attend. And APTT is for 6th grade this week, and then next Thursday, it will be for all other students. Did you want to, and I'm coming up to your slide next, Mr. So I know you have more to say about that. The last thing that I want to say before giving you the parent center updates is that the parent tip of the month is parent portal. How many of us are on parent portal? And I think a quick way is maybe just raise your hand and if you're on parent portal. If you're not, this is a really good resource for you to take control over the information related to your child's school. You can go through the teacher, but if you have parent portal, you have the information right at your fingertips to check anytime you want. And so, Mr. Doyne, do you want to say anything more about parent portal?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Arias. I would love to. First, let me go ahead and I did earlier, but just so it's there for everybody if you need it right now, which it's always a good time to check grades. I just put the link in the chat there.
Stop sharing.
I don't know that you need to because I don't really think I can really walk people through right now. I just put the link in the chat, the actual hyperlink. So there's also, as we've discussed, an app for this too. It's called Parent View, and it's available for iPhone and Android. So it's called Parent View, and it's where you can check all kinds of great stuff, grades and attendance and discipline and testing history and your student's bus number, and you can message your child's teachers through the parent portal. There are a couple of videos that walk through all the features of it, one in Spanish and one in English. I don't know if people want that link here, but I'll go ahead and put it in the chat as well. But I think that's all I wanted to say about the parent portal for right now.
Okay, and those who don't have access, we do encourage you to reach out. As you know, Mr. Doyne runs our parent center, our family engagement center. And so we want you to be connected. We want you to have that information. So if you don't have it, then that's a disadvantage for you. And so just reach out and we'll make sure that you can get connected. All right, parent center updates. Let me go to the next slide. I don't know. It had the default text, but there you go, Mr. Doyne.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, so just behind the scenes, I sent this, of course, right before we started the meeting. So I appreciate Dr. Irish getting this up here that quickly. This Thursday, many of you, and you probably, hopefully you've heard of this from our messages, but it's called Academic Parent Teacher Teams, because when parents and teachers or guardians and teachers work together, it makes the education experience that much more powerful for the kids. So we want you to come to school this Thursday. That's the parents of 6th graders, and next Thursday, the parents of all other students, to work with your teacher. Your child's teacher will be walking you through a few different things. First and foremost, it'll be a new reading program we're introducing to our families and students called Achieve 3000. It's an adaptive program, so even if your child is just learning how to read to those that read at the college level, there will be some activities that we want them to complete at home with your support. So we're gonna show you all how to do this Thursday evening. Also, we'll be explaining more about the parent portal. We'll show the videos that I mentioned earlier. Make sure you can get on or help you problem solve. Also, 100 students will receive a free book Thursday. We will be giving out two $100 Walmart gift cards to help entice people to come. And there will be a Mexican food truck. This will be the food truck of one of our former students, we're proud to say. And then there's a homeroom competition for attendance as well at Academic Parent Teacher Teams. This program has been offered at Nesbitt Elementary and Lilburn Elementary before, so some of you might be very familiar with this. And we're excited to bring this to Lilburn Middle School to enrich the relationships that our families and teachers have for the benefit of our kids. So that's APTT, Academic Parent Teacher Teams. And then there's the link to the parent portal. I think I've got the poll results showing right now. So it shows that people did receive this message most commonly on a text message, but also through email and the Parent Square app, and some through social media as well. So I'm going to stop sharing that right now. So if let's see, the Parent Square app is it's an app, but also a website. So I'm going to link the website here in the chat if you want to make sure you can get on, because that's where the county has moved. That's the platform the county school district is using to help us communicate with our families. So we want to make sure everybody has an account there on Parent Square. And we are starting English classes for parents on October 14th. That was in the school newsletter, or the Parent Center newsletter on Sunday. But I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat again.
Mr. Doyne, I'm sorry. There's a question about, will you send a text reminder about APTT?
Where did I send the reminder?
They want to know, will you send a text reminder?
Yes, ma'am. So I did send one last night, but I am planning to send a phone call as well, because we want to make sure we reach everybody about this new program we're implementing starting Thursday. So yes, is the short answer. And then this, I know it's a long link there. I just put the link in the chat for English classes for parents and guardians. So if you want to sign up for those free classes, I saw a couple questions. Yes, the program this Thursday is for parents and students. The English classes we're starting on Saturday, October the 14th. Some of you probably participated last year. We're excited to bring 2 levels to you all this year. We have beginning and intermediate levels, and there are free classes. We are asking for a $20 donation to help pay for water and snacks. And then the sign up is there in the chat. And then it'll also be in the Parent Center. It was in the Parent Center newsletter on Sunday, and it will be in the following Sundays as well. That's English classes. Dr. Irish mentioned the ESOL Family Day of Fun. ESOL, of course, is English for speakers of other languages, also known as our English Learner Program or multi-language learner program. So we are inviting all of those families, which is about half our school, to come out on Saturday to have a day of fun. There'll be relay races and soccer and music and dancing and games. You can win a free tablet. So that'll be this Saturday from 11 to 2. There'll also be Kona Ice. I do want to make sure everybody is getting the weekly newsletter that contains all of this information and more. So let's see, I'm going to link the English version here in the chat. Let's see, is that the right one? So that's the English version, and then the Spanish version is coming right at you now. Here's the Spanish version of the school newsletter. And then let's see, the PTSA membership contest, the Parent Teacher Student Association. We would love for you and your family to join. It's $8 per year. There is no obligation to volunteer at school, even if you purchase a membership. So every $8 membership helps us provide more programs and resources for students and teachers. I should probably put that in the chat here momentarily. We're having a membership contest, so the homerooms with the largest percentage of their students that are members, or their parents or somebody in their family is a member, will win a free pizza or an ice cream party. And that competition ends on September the 30th. We also have our art contest going on. It's called the PTSA Reflections Art Contest. Whether your child likes to sing or dance or produce movies or write literature or make visual art or take photographs, there's a contest that we have going on. We had one student make it to the state finals last year, was second in the state. So we're looking forward to getting some great entries this year. That contest ends the 29th of September. And there also is a parenting class that I believe we're going to start sometime in the winter. And there, I'll put the link here shortly to find out who is interested in a parenting class to help your adolescent manage those preteen and teenage years. So those are always good. We have a program called the Georgia Center for Opportunity that offers the classes here, and we're looking forward to having them back this year as well. So I'll put those links that I mentioned here shortly in the chat, but for now, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Irish.
Thank you, Mr. Doyne, and we appreciate all that you do to help support our parents. One thing about Parent Square is that we notice that most of our families are receiving email messages. However, most of you are interested in text messages. So on Parent Square, you can change it to the setting that you would like. So if you, like I'm a texter, so that helps me, but I changed my Parent Square to be in text format. So if you prefer text over email, you can go in and change and work with those settings. All right, so we went through the parent. Ooh, it's going backwards for some reason. Hold on. There we go. All right, so I want to talk to you guys about safety at schools. We have an initiative in Gwinnett called Safe and Secure Schools. And so just to discuss our campus here, how we're working to keep it safe and secure, and some tips that we can partner together to all work together to make that happen. The first thing I want to talk about is toys at school that we do have. I remember, we all remember growing up that there are things we could play with that our students just cannot play with now, outside of the house. And so we do have some students at times who are bringing things that should not be at school. They are toys, but they're just either scary to others or could be harmful, to others. So we're asking that if, you just make sure that your students are aware of what's inappropriate for school, and that maybe if they have something that they're playing with at home, like pellet gun or laser, sometimes those laser beams, those are in a violation of school rules. Just make sure that they don't have those items when they're going to school. That way we don't take an innocent playful thing and then now we have consequences or someone hurt. The other thing we want to talk about is online posting, that many of our students are getting involved with social media or chat groups. And we ask you, there's a saying that says, if you're supposed to be in the loop, then get in the loop. And so we're inviting all parents to get in the loop of what your child or children are talking about in those groups. We saw one chat that was presented to us from a parent that started out just fine. They were just talking and then quickly turned left. Like it just quickly went in the wrong direction, where now we're insulting each other. Now we're threatening to fight, and it's just kind of gone off the rails. So just be encouraged and know that you have the right. You're paying the bill. You can look at your child's phone at any time you want to. And I know many of you know that, but just make sure that you feel empowered to do so. And we do rely on you. A lot of times that we are able to prevent things from happening is because parents have brought it to our attention. So we really encourage you to do that. But sometimes what's posted can have impact in school, even if it's on the weekend. If it's something inappropriate or threatening, it could wind up like leading to something happening here at school. Horseplay, a lot of our kids, we see it mostly with our boys, but now sometimes with our girls too, that we're physically like horseplaying with each other or hitting each other or whatever have you. What we see is two things happen. That either, we horseplay and then I either hit you too hard or do something you don't like, and then now we're really having a fight. Or I horseplay and I didn't mean to hurt you, but now you're hurt. So now, we have a situation. So just if you encourage, we're doing it at school, but if you can also encourage students that when they're at school, physical horseplay, we ask you not to do that. If you're in PE, they do structured games. But really during the school day, there's not a time to have your hands on someone else. Conflict resolution, we do teach that. As you heard, we have the SEL time in the beginning of our day. And so we do talk about how to resolve conflicts. We do talk about the fact that conflict is not bad. We all, even as adults, have things that we have to work out with another person. That's a skill that they're going to need for life. They're going to need to know you're not going to get along with everyone. Everyone is not going to like you, and you're also not going to like everyone. And that is normal. But how do we deal with that? So that's what we work with our students through. And I think if they hear the same message at home and school, then that's really going to help our students to be successful. So we teach students that conflict happens in life, but it doesn't have to end negatively or violently. That you can disagree, and sometimes you can agree that we're just going to disagree. And sometimes you can agree that we're just not made to be friends right now, but maybe we can be friends later. And that's what we teach our students about conflict. And we wanted to share that with you so that you can mirror that message at home. And I'm waiting for Ms. Kroll to catch up. I see her. You're doing great, Ms. Kroll. Thank you. Okay, social media, that's a little bit different than online posting because that's just about friends chatting in a group. But social media is a little bit different because that's where our students are getting all this information from. Just be mindful of the apps that your students are downloading and joining or becoming a part of that community. Some have very, very, very adult content and are advanced in what they're telling or explaining to students. But then also there's the, we used to, when we were growing up, we had to worry about walking home from school and then someone luring us to get into a van with candy or puppies. Now our students have to worry about someone being online and posting things that confuse them or convince them to do things that are not safe. And so we do ask you to be mindful what apps your students are on. They should at any time be okay with you seeing like what they're doing online. And so just, generally speaking, this is just my own personal belief. Middle schoolers, because they're still learning how to handle conflict, they're still very sensitive about what people say and internalize that a lot. Social media generally is not the best for them at this point. But as a parent, you can choose what's best for your child. So if you do choose that social media is something they will be a part of, we ask you to closely monitor that, like on a regular basis. Then the last thing for safety and security is vaping. Most of our students do not vape. They don't get involved in that. If you ask them, they can tell you the dangers of vaping. However, we do have some who get vaping items from an older sibling or a parent or another family member, and then they bring it to school. And so they're going to try it out. So the danger with that is that some vapes are flavored, they're bad, but generally the child's going to be safe. However, some are very dangerous and could have things that they don't know what's in it, and we don't know what's in it. So we do encourage students, obviously, not to vape, but we want you to be aware of that too and talk to them. They may feel like everyone's talking about vaping. Everyone is not vaping. That is not true. But talk to your child about the dangers of vaping and tell them that it's okay, to say no to that. And it's not okay to do it because it could be dangerous to do. We will be sharing information about this. We have a community member whose spouse is a nurse. And so we're going to organize with her. She offered this last spring, and we're going to work with her this year to come in and talk to our students about vaping and some of the dangers of vaping. But like I said, a lot of it's brought in from the community and into here, into our building. But we do want to teach our students, make them aware and be knowledgeable of how dangerous it could be. Okay. Something specific we want you to take away from today's conversation is about bullying. So bullying is an aggressive behavior, and the definition's here on the screen, but it's done on purpose. So, accidentally being rude or being inconsiderate is not necessarily bullying. It could mean that someone needs more social skills, but bullying means that I am purposefully doing this to you. Like I'm doing this on purpose because I feel like I'm more powerful than you, and I'm doing it on a regular basis. So sometimes we may have a terrible thing happen that's inappropriate, and we're going to deal with it using the rules that we have, but it may not necessarily be bullying. So according to the state law, it has to be repeated on a regular basis, either physical, verbal, or relational. And the reason why we spell that out is because sometimes students are thinking, like, I'm thinking you're looking at me, or I think you don't like me, or they're thinking thoughts, negative thoughts about a person and their interaction. But it doesn't rise to bullying unless there's like actual evidence of a physical, verbal, or some relational issue, like they're trying to be isolated, like someone's trying to make them feel isolated from others or gossiping about them. So it has to be some tangible thing that happened to be considered bullying. And while those bully others using more physical means, we see like they call it necking, where there's slapping in the back of the neck or doing other things to physically bother others. What we see with the girls is that they will use social exclusion a lot, trying to get people not to like you or stay away from you or not talk to you. But either way, bullying has been a part of school and even workplace for years. It's just become so intense because of social media and because of technology, that whereas years ago you can bully a person and only those who were there or who heard about it knows about it, now it can be posted and thousands can find out by the end of the day. Okay, so that's why we really are, taking it seriously, that it's a serious thing. But we want to stop all forms of bullying. We want to stop, obviously, the physical. Those are the ones that are easiest to catch because we can see it. Verbal is a little more tricky. Social bullying, usually we don't know about that unless students tell us that they're not talking to me, or they're telling others not to talk to me, or they're bullying me online, which is cyberbullying. Many of the adults do not have social media apps that the students are on, or we're not in that group. And so we won't know unless one from in the group tells us what's going on in the group. And so that's where, you guys come in by monitoring that to see, hey, this sounds like it's going in the wrong direction, or why they call you that name, or why did you call someone else that name? And just to get in front of it before it turns into a repeated problem. Okay, so does create many major problems, as you can see from the image. Cyberbullying creates anxiety, stress, panic. We've seen, people have real shame because of what's been posted online. And cyberbullying happens when it's online or by the cell phone. Okay, so they're either on their laptop device or a cell phone. And they're going on YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and they're sending hurtful messages to other children. The other issue with bullying now with technology is that it's 24 hours a day. It used to be I'm home, I'm safe. I don't have to see these bullies until I go back to school again. But now, even in the home, the safety of your home, if the child is on these apps and bad things are happening there, then those messages are going to them 24 hours a day, possibly. Okay. And then some apps allow students to post anonymously. And so when it's turned in, we don't know who it is because they can post like Instagram, they can post without their name. And so we don't know who it is. Okay, but we want to stop bullying so that our students can thrive. And so some things that we are going to do, we've asked our teachers to be very observant, to be knowledgeable about their students and to get to know them relationally so that they can know if something's wrong with a student. We also ask them to involve students and parents. So what we've been doing a lot of is mediations because our district is now a restorative practice district. So that means that we do things other than just consequences. So we do measures to help to, teach those who are being mean, not to be mean, and to teach those who are being treated badly what to do. And so we do a lot of things, but we do involve the parents, the students, the counselors, the teachers. We have a community where we try to work through, but the teachers really are paying attention to what's going on. And then they also set those positive expectations. That's why we talk about what we expect every day. We spend over 10 minutes talking about it, plus other times. But we do talk to our students about what we expect and how they should treat each other. As a parent, what you can do is be observant, look for signs of your child being bullied. I know this is hard. This time of their life is really hard because they behave differently anyway. They may not want to tell you things that they would tell you before, or may not want to spend as much time with the family as they did before. That's just part of going into the teenage years. But you know your child best. And so if you see anything that seems unusual or concerning, then that could be a sign that they are, being mistreated or bullied. Teach your child how to handle being bullied, what to say to stand up for themselves. This one is tricky because sometimes our guidance of how to handle being bullied may wind up getting our children in trouble. So we do ask you to find peaceful ways and peaceful strategies for your student to handle that using the resources that we have at school. And then we ask you to set those boundaries with technologies. As we just heard, the messages can come 24 hours a day. And that's why it's good if you have a time where, you put your phone up, that's it for today. And then that way we're not 24 hours a day dealing with the messages online. And then ensure your child is not bullying others, because usually if they're in this circle where we're all talking badly to each other, then it's going to come back onto them at some point. So we ask you to encourage them to be respectful and then expect respect in return. And then teach them the difference between bullying and bothering. Sometimes students will, file a bullying complaint, but we find out it was one incident of someone being rude to them that could be handled, but it's not really bullying per se. And then if your child is more aggressive and maybe bullying others, that comes with awareness. Like, we know our children's personalities, and if we find that they're taking the lead on some of these negative behaviors sometimes, then what you can do is work to stop the bullying before it even starts. If you hear them kind of talking negatively about someone, you can stop them and teach them that's not how we talk about other people. make room in your home for a bully-free zone. So if you're kind of that way, like you're saying stuff, then, you know, maybe just be mindful that they do watch and learn. And then look for self-esteem issues, what we find, and I put that there twice because 9 times out of 10, when we talk to someone who's not being respectful of others, they don't feel really good about themselves. And so just try to find things to get them to feel encouraged about who they are and the goodness in themselves. Because people who are busy doing good have no time to be bad to other people. But we notice that if they are feeling badly about something going on that they don't have control over outside of school or in themselves, then they start behaving that way towards others. All right, and then lastly, students, you can tell your students what they can do is to report bullying and cyberbullying. This one is hard because no one wants to be a snitch. They'll tell us, I'm not going to be a snitch. And so they don't want to give us any information to help them. But let them know the difference between reporting bullying and snitching. So our speaker that I talked about earlier, Fabian Ramirez, talked to our students about the difference between reporting and snitching. And he said that snitching is when you just want to see someone get in trouble. So I'm going to tell every little thing I can to watch them just get in trouble because it's going to be fun to watch them get in trouble. But reporting means that someone is being harmed and I'm trying to stop that harm. So if we teach our kids the difference between the two, then they may feel better about getting help earlier for problems that are happening. We also ask them not to bully back because what we see happening, if you bullied me, so I'm going to bully you back, then now both of us are getting consequences. So we ask them to not do that, but to use the channels that we have in place. And then if they notice that there's a pattern that they still haven't learned how to stand up for themselves, or they find themselves in the situation of being bullied a lot, that they try not to be alone. You know, there's power in numbers. And we teach our college age students this all the time, like try to be around a group of people to help you to be safe. And so we just teach our students that if you're constantly being targeted, then maybe let's try not being alone. Let's try to find a good, strong, positive group of friends that can help us, you know, support us until we learn how to stand up for ourselves. Okay, and I see there's a question in the chat.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Dr. Arch, there's 3 that I saw. First from Miss Aaliyah, she said, my child told me that a boy just walk up to her and call her the N-word.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
we have a program at our school called Title IX. Title IX means that we cannot have, obviously, sexual harassment happen in our school, but legally we cannot have racial discrimination and other things like that. So those events are very serious. And we would definitely like to get that information to help deal with that. We don't get excited about having to do referrals or give consequences, but we do know that it is important because if there's someone using that word, they obviously don't know that that's not appropriate. So we have to work with them to help teach them. But then also the person who's getting that, they need to be they have the right to come to school and feel safe. So we do need that information, and maybe we can get that family's name offline, Mr. Doyne, and then follow up.
Yes, ma'am. So I can look up the parent, but there may be more than one parent with that name. So I would love for that parent to send me a private message with the student name on that one, so I can forward that to the right people to address. The next one was Sandra Lavalle has the hand up, so I'm going to ask Sandra to unmute here and ask the question.
Sandra.
So let's see. So I'm asking Sandro, estoy pidiendo que Sandro, okay. Well, it doesn't say it's unmuted yet, so I'll wait for that one. There was another parent that said that bullying doesn't just happen in the class, it happens on the bus. And she got some support in the chat from that comment as well.
Yeah, and the bus is a major place that we're really interested in getting information because as you can imagine, the bus driver is driving and there's about 48 students behind them that they cannot watch because they're looking at the road. And so students have an opportunity to make bad choices in those settings. We ask them not to when we go over all of the bus rules with them, but we do know that they're in middle school and sometimes they're not going to make the best choice. But if your child is experiencing negative things on the bus, we have a very good relationship with the dispatch supervisor, and we can get that information over to that driver to be aware of. They can do things like rearranging the seating. Usually the one who's causing the issue is the one who will be moved. And they can up to things like writing a referral back to the school. So sometimes if something happens on the bus, a referral will be written back to the school, and then we would issue a consequence that may lead into that person not being able to ride the bus if they continue that behavior. So it is taken very seriously because we know that that driver has the lives of all of those students in their hands. So they don't need, those behaviors happening behind their back while they're driving. So someone's asking how to send a private message. If you go to your chat, and then there's a blue box that shows you who you're sending it to, and then just drop down and you can just choose Michael, I think it's Michael Doyne. You can choose his name.
That's right. And I just sent that parent a private message. So all she would need to do is respond to that private message.
That's perfect. Okay, and I did want to show this to you because if you feel like, if you ever feel like, I will always listen. So if you feel like you have a concern, you're not really sure where to start, Mr. Doyne's excellent at getting the information to where it needs to go. I do have many parents who will message me as well. You can always do that if you're not sure who to go to. But this is the pathway that the district has asked you to follow. So you start with your teacher. Your child's teacher knows them best, and they usually, if there's an issue involving friends, they'll usually know not only your child, but the friends that you're talking about. And they will have direct control over helping in that moment to solve the problem. But if that doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, we ask you to reach out to your child's assistant principal, and then they're going to escalate it up to me. And then I'll go up to who's over me, which is the cluster superintendent, and then the chief of schools. So that's kind of the flow of communication. If you go straight to me, which is welcomed, I welcome any of you to reach out to me anytime you need to. What I will do is work in reverse. So I'll go to the assistant principal and I will say, do you know anything about this issue that's going on? Then that assistant principal will work with the teacher to find out what's going on. So we do have a chain of communication that we follow. And just to get the fastest result, I wanted to show this to you so you know what that can look like. But you can always reach out to any one of us if you feel like it's not, not working, or the person's not understanding what you're asking for. All right.
I'm sorry, Dr. Arsh. There's something pretty serious the parents mentioning here. Also in the bus, my son said that it smells like cigarettes, and they've carried knives. They wrote that in Spanish.
That would be an urgent. That would be an urgent situation that we would need to know about immediately, because sometimes, like, our students may see something they're concerned about, but they don't want to get involved in telling because they don't want their name to be part of it. The issue with that is that if there was a knife on the bus, then there was a knife in the school. And so we don't want to trust a middle school child with a knife in the school. And so we really need to get that item off of that student and back into the hands of the parent, or thrown away, or whatever needs to happen. But we don't need to just have children walking around with inappropriate items. So if you could encourage your child, and I know sometimes the parent will say, my child knows, and then we'll call them in and they'll say, I don't know anything, because they don't want to get involved. But they can write an anonymous letter. We also have an anonymous tip line. There's ways to let us know what happened without giving up your name. But we do need that information. So if that person wants to message Mr. Doyne privately, and then he'll pass it to me after we end this one.
And another parent says that my daughter says they smoke a lot.
So those are, and that's why our students are going to be the key to solving this problem. We have 1,631 students, 120 staff members, and then in your home there's 1, 2, or maybe if you have extended family, 3 or 4 adults. So they outnumber us, and that's why we need their cooperation, we need their partnership. And so that's why we're talking to our students. If you have information, we need to know that. If someone's smoking, that's not allowed. We need to know who that is. A knife at school, definitely not appropriate. We need to know who that is. But we just need to work with our students to not be okay with seeing inappropriate things and just letting it happen. We want to work to make sure our school is safe and secure. All right, and there's someone I'm letting in. All right, and that brings us to the end of the information I have for you. And so, as we mentioned earlier, if you're at work and you have to sign off, we do thank you for attending the session today. I know it was a lot of information that went really fast. If you have a couple more items and you just have a question or two, you can hang around on this call. But we do thank you for coming out every month. And let us know what topics you want us to talk about. So if there's something that we didn't mention that you want to hear more about, email us, email me, email Mr. Doyne, and we'll be happy to organize that for our next monthly meeting. But we hope we didn't keep you too long, and we thank you for being here today. And we're going to go ahead and let you go. Mr. Doyne, who was the first parent on the call today? We always get.
I'll have to check the report. I don't remember. Maybe we can take the what do they call it, people, I forget what it's called, but maybe we can just take somebody's word for it if they knew it, they were the first one. But I can check the report
in the chat, and then we'll send a little treat to you. But we thank you for your time. We know y'all are super busy. We're not going to keep you way longer. But before you leave, just put in the chat the most favorite thing about your child. If you have more than one child, you can put more than one thing. But just the thing you love most about your child as you leave this session.
While they're doing that, there was one thing earlier. I was trying to get a private message sent to me just so I can look into it, but it was somebody said that we encourage the child to join activities, but this particular child was rejected due to their size. So I was trying to figure out what that was about so I can look into that a little bit more.
Yeah, we definitely, that's not a thing. That's not, our children come in all different sizes. So I definitely, if that's what they walked away believing, I definitely want to know about that. Yeah, we don't have any activities that you can't do if you're a certain size.
Some of the parents are sending me direct messages in response to your question. So they're saying things like, my kid loves football, they love to help others. These are messages you wouldn't be seeing, but I just want to make sure you heard of it. The parents saying very, very thankful for the meeting.
And we're so thankful for you. And guys, they say a million planes take off and land every day, but you only hear about the planes that crash. And that's kind of how school runs. That we have many amazing students who come to our school. We have awesome families. You guys are here giving up an hour of your time. We have a great school community. However, what gets posted and liked on social media may not be so positive. But we do want you to know that here in the day, and if you ever want to just spend a day here, just see what school's like. Well, not a full day, but sometime here to see what school's like, reach out. We'd love to have you just walk our buildings and see our campus. We have an amazing school. But again, if there are any issues, to keep it amazing, we need to know about those issues so that we can address them. So just let us know if there's anything. And thank you for all the comments about what you love about your students. I'm looking at some of the comments, and they're what we love about your students too. So just have a fantastic day. Just know that we're just an email or a phone call away if you need anything. And hopefully you had at least one thing that's useful to you that you got from this meeting. But have a wonderful day.
I think I just let a parent in. I I thought I had seen the waiting room on the screen, but maybe not. I don't know how long that parent was waiting, so I apologize if you were just let in and you were waiting for a while. We are recording this meeting, and I'll send out the recording on the weekly email.
Thank you for doing that. I didn't realize you recorded it. That's smart. Ms. Kroll, thank you. Great job.
I'm gonna turn off the, let's see. So we should be able to hear Ms. Kroll now.
Hi, everyone.
Hola,
It's
Ms.
hot out here outside of Lilburn Middle School
Kroll.
with this background that I have.
You're on the lawn.
Yeah.
It does look like the weather, like you could actually be outside.
There may have
Personally, I
been-
wouldn't mind having the beach.
Yeah,
There may have been, I just need to apologize. I think I got out of the questions, but in case I didn't, I don't mind, if you want to ask that to me or something, because I don't want your question to go unaddressed if possible. Si tiene una pregunta que no contestamos, si quiere preguntarme después o ahora, porque no quisiera que ignoremos su pregunta.
so is the mom saying she hopes it doesn't affect discipline? Is that what she's saying? Somebody, she sent it to everyone, I think it was to you directly.
I don't think that's the one.
Well, Mr. Dorn, I appreciate you sending out the invite. I'm going to step out of this call, but if anyone has anything more for me, just send it my way, and I'm more than happy to help.
Thank you,
Okay, am I good to go?
Yes, ma'am. Well, as far as I'm concerned, thank you, Ms. Kroll. So as far as somebody's asking about the English classes, it'll start Saturday, October the 14th at 9 a.m. No, 9:30, sorry, 9:30 in the morning. 9:30? Yeah, I think it's 9:30. So just make sure you sign up at the link. That's how we know who to expect. If you need me to put that link in the chat, I'll go ahead and do so. Alguien me está preguntando acerca de la clase de inglés. Déjame poner el formulario ahí en el chat. I see 5 parents have already signed up. Great. Yeah, okay. 5 papás ya inscribieron.
A nice message.
Let's see, where's the chat? Okay. English classes. Okay, so somebody's asking about soccer practice. All right, so soccer practice, I don't know when it will begin, but the last tryouts are this Friday, but the 8th grade tryout is tomorrow. 7th grade was yesterday. 6th grade tryout was last week. Las como pruebas para el equipo de fútbol sexto grado era la semana pasada, séptimo ayer, octavo mañana, y van a tomar las decisiones finales este viernes que viene. So, and a question about ESOL. If your children are in the ESOL program, they would take an access test every spring. That's one way to know, and you would be sent those results of the access test. Also, you would have received a text message from me yesterday. There were 3 text messages I sent yesterday, one about this meeting, one about APTT, and one about the ESOL activity on Saturday. Only the parents that have students in the ESOL program received the message about the ESOL activity. Hay una pregunta acerca del programa de ESOL. ¿Van a saber si sus niños están en este programa de ESOL donde están aprendiendo inglés? Si recibe los resultados del examen de Access que toman cada primavera. Y también mandé 3 mensajes de texto ayer. Si recibieron cada uno, significa que tiene un niño en el programa de ESOL.
Okay. I will see you guys.
All right, Mr. Dorn, did you want to pick someone to sign us out today?
Yes, thank you. So let's see, my child did,
Looks like
no
you
sé si podrá ingresar. Well, so we don't know who's going to be selected for the soccer team. Not everybody that tryouts, unfortunately, will be able to participate in the soccer team. But if they're selected, they're going to make that decision on Friday. Si está seleccionado su niño para el equipo de fútbol, van a saber este viernes. And just to let you know, the 6th and 7th and 8th graders are all trying out for the same team. So it's not real common that a lot of 6th graders are selected for that team. Just to just to make sure I'm helping parents manage the expectations on that. I haven't heard that we're going to open up soccer to everybody that's interested. Entonces, los niños de 6º grado están en una competencia con los niños de 7º y 8º para el mismo equipo. Y no es tan común que muchos niños están seleccionados para el equipo de fútbol de grado 6. Es posible, pero este viernes van a informarle a los alumnos de lo que sepa yo, quién fue seleccionado. Okay. All right. So we're at this time. If you have more questions, please send me a message or call me or get in touch with me somehow, and I will be glad to address that. But we're going to, let's see. I see Ms. Pena, you're the highest on the screen there. Would you mind counting us? Maybe say 3, 2, 1 y vamos a cerrar la reunión. Si quiere, porque señora Pena es. I'm just looking at a couple of last messages here. So I think this Friday would be probably the last opportunity for your child to try out for soccer. I think there'll be one last chance. I know tomorrow there's a chance as well. So if your child didn't get a chance, then they can stay tomorrow as long as they have that physical form. Si todavía no ha ido a la prueba de fútbol, quizás mañana o quizás este viernes va a ser la última oportunidad. Okay, so Ms. Peña, are you ready for us? Señora Peña, ¿está listo para contar, para cerrar la reunión? Va a decir 3, 2, 1 y vamos a cerrar. ¿Estás lista? Okay, no quiere. ¿No quiere o sí está bien? Okay, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Señora Peña, porque siempre ha participado en estas reuniones. She's had a couple kids with us and she's always in this meeting.
Thank you. Me gusta informarme.
Okay, all right. Señora Peña, okay, hay que contar 3, 2, 1 y vamos a cerrar la reunión. So count us down from 3, 2, 1 and then we'll close the meeting.
3, 2, 1.
Okay,
Adiós.
gracias. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.